Talking Honda Transalp. Ownership costs in detail. A must for those who ride regularly.
Feel free to subscribe. I am saving to buy some tea. It will help the channel. Cheers.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. 2023 Honda Transalp, 28,300k review. Yeah, so any prospective Transalp buyers out there or existing owners with lower Ks who are wondering about the durability of a bike, I can assure you from my own personal experience anyway that the bikes prove to be pretty reliable. It doesn't come without its cost of ownership like any bike or any car. So I can break it down for you. For about 25,000 Ks, you'll be looking at about $3,200 in ownership costs. And ownership costs does not include rego and insurance and fuel. I'm only going on about maintenance and tyres solely. So maintenance and tyres will cost you about $3,200 over 12 months if you get it done at your local trusty Honda dealer. And your tyre costs, if you're putting half decent tyres on, there's another vehicle that just likes to speed up. So $3,200. So you can add about $2,700 of fuel onto that. It'll take you up to $6,000 for 27,000 Ks. And your rego costs and insurance costs on top of that. So say $6,000 to run this bike over a year to do. If you're a commuter and you're doing about 27,000 Ks, which works out to be, it soon adds up. It's about 500 kilometres a week. And a lot of people are saying, what, 4 or 5 kilometres a week he's going to do about commuting? Well, some people do. In Australia especially, easily. People live on the Gold Coast, work in Brisbane, 5 days a week job, 170 Ks each way, 170 Ks a day to 200 Ks a day. That's going to be 1,000 Ks a week. So if you times that by a person has 4 weeks off a year, times 48, so they're going to be doing 48,000 Ks a year. So if you're one of those people, this bike's going to cost you 12,000 Ks, $12,000 in a year. No, sorry. Yeah, $12,000 in a year, including your fuel, servicing, and tyres. So that's the cost of ownership. People might say, bullshit, that's too high. Well, but I bought this bike at 3,500 Ks, so the 1,000 K service had been done, and I believe it's about $200. I got the 12,000 K service done at 12,000 Ks, and it was $380. Then there's the 24,000 kilometre service, which I got done at 23,924 Ks, and it costs $1,000 $120. A set of Pirelli Scorpion Trail tyres have just been fitted for $800. At 12,000 Ks, I replaced the mixed tours with another set of mixed tours. They were $600, and this is all fitting, including fitting. So that's how I've arrived at $3,200. So that's not no repair costs. I had to replace a mirror. A tree branch on a mini cyclone fell on my mirror, put a small dent in my tank, and that's all been repaired. So that was another $250, but I haven't even included that for the tank, little tiny dent in the tank and the mirror broken. So I haven't included those costs. Rear brake pads at 27,000 Ks. So included that in the cost, $160. The local Honda dealer tried to charge me $470 with a written quote, but I went elsewhere. I went up to Slacks Creek at Brisbane, and they really helped me out. Replaced the rear brake pads straight away. They could see they were low, and they only charged $160 for, that's a half hour's labour, and $60 for the pads. So it's a lot cheaper than $474 quoted by the Honda dealer at Nerang and Gold Coast. So yeah, so if you were riding this bike 48,000 Ks in a year, you'll be doubling all them tyre and service costs, because it has to have a major maintenance service at 24,000 Ks, every 24,000 Ks. And you can only imagine the servicing costs will increase as the bike ages. At the 24,000 K service, I replaced both the spark plugs, and which they did add up. I believe, I'm not even sure that was required. I think it was only supposed to be a check of spark plugs, but they said they replaced them, and the air filter gets replaced. And it's just for normal minor servicing costs. So it's, for that little bit of extra work, I certainly charge a bit extra, $380 for the 12,000 K service, and $1,020 for the 24,000 K service. So you can imagine as the bike gets older, before you hit about 48,000 K in your first commuting, you may have to replace your chain and sprockets. So, but let's say you don't, you're looking at 12 grand, including fuel, to own this vehicle. Now, if you get finance, let's say roughly $80 a week over 5 years. Just say roughly. So let's say 3 grand, 4 grand on top of that for your finance costs. So, wow, bike's costing you 16 grand, $16,000 include. So that's your $16,000, not including rego. So you got to add another grand on top of that. That's 17, and your insurance costs another grand on top of that. So the bike will cost $17,000 over 12 months, obviously including your finance, because you haven't bought the bike yet, you're paying it off. So that's about $340 a week you've got to set aside from your earnings to keep your motorcycle or your means of transport to get to work on the road. And when you put it that way, it's pretty expensive, but it's real world. It's real world. So this has been my only sort of form of transport, a recreational ride. I've had a bit of spare time. last year. So doing 25,000 k's on the bike. Just doing day rides and stuff like this. Yeah, just doing rides like this and wow, look at that scenery.